Welcome, fellow Kiss fans. Welcome to It's All For You Demons, celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. My name is Rick. Last week was the 30th anniversary of Hot in the Shade, and I became a fan right around that time. I became a fan in 1988. Smashes was already out, so Hot in the Shade was my first real record, like me being a Kiss fan. This was my first release as part of the Kiss fandom, and I have very fond memories around that time and around that period. So last week I was heavily waxing Hot in the Shade, and I was heavily waxing that early period of my youth. And about the same time, my buddy Scott, what is going on back there? My buddy Scott posted a photo to his Instagram page that he was listening to the 1985 re-release of Creatures of the Night. So he and I began waxing this record. Now, in regards to this record, I have always heard rumors that there was a different mix used for the 1985 record, which I always found interesting. I always thought, really? Like, they just didn't re-release the record, they actually remixed it for that special cover? Never really dove into that, never really researched it, but it's always been up here in my brain, just kind of as an interesting fact. Well, my buddy Scott, he said that back in the 85 to like 87 era, he did not realize there was a 1982 version with a makeup cover. And this got me thinking, back then, when I first became a fan, like 1988, 89, did I know? And I don't believe I did. And that is what I want to dive into today. A little bit of that remix story, and a little bit of the waxing of me as a Kiss fan in 1988, 1989, discovering Creatures of the Night. And which version did I discover? Let's wax. So, retracing the days of my youth, I decided to go back and find everything I had access to back when I was 15 years old. This was pre-internet days, so my accessibility to Kiss information was basically magazines, MTV, my friend Dan. And as far as magazines, my Bible back then was The Might and Magic of Kiss. Mentioned this many times before, but worth mentioning again. This magazine was everything to me. I learned everything I learned about the band in those first formative years from this magazine. So today I was thinking, was I aware of the 1982 Creatures of the Night makeup cover? So I grabbed this magazine, and in this magazine there is no picture of that Creatures of the Night cover. So, option one down. I did not know about the cover from this magazine. Now, Danny can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe he may have known about the Creatures of the Night cover back then. I don't know, I could be wrong. Let's text the boy and find out. So here we go, straight from the boy's mouth. He remembers seeing the album cover at Musicland and thinking the cover was awesome, but for some reason did not care enough to purchase. So there you go, from Dan's mouth. He did know of the makeup cover back then. And these are the kind of conversations that Danny and I have. Texted him earlier. If you ever want to be in a good mood, listen to the Dave Clark 5, because you cannot be in a bad mood when you listen to that song. You just can't. And so there you have it, from history itself. Danny does remember that cover. Now, did he communicate it to me in 1988, 1989? My memory does not serve me as well as Dan's memory, and Dan's memory is very good. Bad when you do something embarrassing in your teenage years, because he will bring it up 30 years later. Option 3 for my knowing of the album cover would have been the Kiss Exposed video, which contained the music video for I Love It Loud. Now, this weekend I was thinking, did they show the album cover at the end of that video. Went back to the videotape today, they do not. So, we're doing pretty good. I don't think I knew of the Makeup album cover back in 88, 89 when I first became a fan. Beyond Kiss Exposed, my first exposure to actually listening to tracks from Creatures of the Night on my stereo at home would have been this, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, the greatest hits that was out when I became a fan. Not only did I not probably know about the Makeup cover, I also didn't know about the incredible sound. And see, this is why it's very good to take these scientific steps back into history, because I just recalled, just now, right here, light bulb, ding! I just recalled when I would have known about the other cover. And it would have been when I was building my Kiss catalog through CD. It would have been with Dan at a music store buying the Creatures of the Night compact disc. And it would have been this compact disc that I have had since I was a freshman in high school, and purchasing this CD in a store, Danny definitely would have told me this is not the actual album cover. And he further probably would have explained that Bruce didn't even play on this record. Now I would love to go back in time, because I can promise you Danny and I would have had a wax session on why did they do that? Why did they put a non-makeup cover on an album that came out during the makeup era? And why add Bruce Kulick, who did not play on that record? Were they trying to get fans to forget about the makeup period? Or was this the reintroduction to Bruce Kulick, and why not re-release a good record? But I promise you, we did not discuss the fact of remixing, and that still fascinates me to this day. Now, back in 1988, 89, home theater systems did not exist. So watching Kiss Exposed on my mom's VCR on VHS tape, the thunderous sound of I Love It Loud did not exist. My only other option, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. We all know the version of I Love It Loud on this record is horrible. The remixing of the 1985 Creatures of the Night. I do not think I ever realized it back then. Again, the reason being, the only exposure I had to this record back then was this CD version, which is the remixed version. And I first became aware of the remixing of the 1985 version in Dale Sherman's book, Kiss FAQ, which he says, ironically, the reissued album contains some remixing that did not appear on the 1997 remaster CD, which once again contained the makeup cover. So, very long story short, sorry about that, but my first exposure to the real Creatures of the Night would have been when I finally picked it up on vinyl. And I do not recall when I finally picked it up on vinyl. It probably would have been around 92, 93. You know, Danny and I were going down to Kansas City quite a bit and visiting record stores. That's probably when I picked up the Creatures of the Night record. Again, didn't really dawn on me the two mixes. I'm not really an audio guy. I don't really listen for that. But then, after reading about the mixes in this book, I became very fascinated by it, and last night did a little testing. And YouTube-wise, I'm not going to put in any audio of that test, but I did listen track for track, 82, 85, to see if I could tell a difference. And yes, very much a difference. And here they are. First up being, of course, the track listing. Second song on the original issue is Saint and Sinner. 85 version, they replaced that with Killer. Now, listening to the record last night, I kind of think that's a good idea. Killer has that sort of like fade in intro, and it works perfectly coming out of Creatures of the Night. It kind of keeps the momentum going. So that, I'm gonna say, is a plus. And next up, from a very high level, because I'm not an audio guy, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I feel weird putting my hand right here. So let's just turn these around, shall we? All right. Now, from a very high level, this very much remixed. The drums are buried. The guitars, the vocals, they are extremely high in the mix. The drums are thunderous. We all know that. The drums are so powerful. The bass is so powerful on this version. It's an incredible heavy metal record. This feels more like an 80s record. It is mixed like an 80s record. Like this version, to me, feels like an Asylum sound Creatures of the Night. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like they went with an Asylum era mix. The drums got a lot of reverb on them. They are buried, hidden underneath the guitars, vocals. Of the two, you have to love this version much more. But it is fun now for me to realize that yes, there is a definite remix between the versions. And honestly, I really like listening to it now because I'm not saying it's better, but I like the difference in the sound. And lastly, of course, are those album covers that are the main difference. Very silly to me, but I do enjoy the sort of rarity of especially the vinyl version of this. I mean, it was everywhere on CD back then, but to find it on vinyl was kind of a collector's target, I guess, and it felt really good to do that. But I mean, you can't beat this cover, you can't beat this sound, and you can't beat the fun of this record. You can try to remix it, but you can't beat it. So there you have a little fun with the 1982 Creatures of the Night and the 1985 Creatures of the Night. Tip of the hat and a huge thank you to my buddy Scott for kind of kicking off and inspiring this video with the wax we had on Instagram the other day. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Instagram and Twitter, not on the Facebook. And if you want to be a pen pal, kiss pen pal with me, and you want to wax Kiss nostalgia like Danny and I would have done with other fans back in 1988, snail mail style, pen pal style, my P.O. Box information is below. Send me a postcard with your return address and I will do the favor to you, and we will be It's All For You Demon pen pals. Thank you for hanging with me. What is your favorite version of Creatures of the Night? The 1982 or the 1985? I think I know the answers, but leave those answers down below. Let's celebrate the fun of being a Kiss fan down in those comments. If you are new here, please hit subscribe. If you enjoy waxing Kiss nostalgia, like, share, comment below. Let's do our Bob Barker. Don't forget to be good to your babies. Spay, neuter, microchip, and don't wake them from nappies. Thank you for hanging with me. Take care, be safe, and I talk to you soon.